one thing that's becoming interesting, and most people won't remember, during the Vietnam War, the common soldier began to dislike their leadership, not only their military leadership, but also their political leadership. And of course, back then they were drafting thousands and thousands of people. Trump being called up, 3 or 4 times and getting bone spurs for a delay. For but in any event, apparently now the Stars and Stripes magazine, they fired the reporter and the editor because they reported on the fact that the aircraft carrier had plugged toilets and the sailors weren't being fed properly, and some of them were jumping overboard. So they just fire the editors, get rid of the media.
Well,
But
Trump
they're also
figures everybody should be full of shit like him and his diapers, I guess.
they're starting to write things on their helmets like they did in Vietnam. Quotes like Operation Epstein Fury, uh, peace deal number 64 incoming.
Uh,
All of this for the Holy Land.
well, I think
It's
in Vietnam there were movies where platoon leaders and sergeants and captains were, put out front and then mysteriously bullets found their back. I hope that isn't going to happen with the U.S. military in this crisis, but when your soldiers are not wanting to be the targets for abuse, they take it out on the officers as much as they can. And I mean, if you got guys jumping off ships, I wouldn't want to be an officer on that ship because he might not want to jump alone. And he's going to blame the upper echelon for the living standards and conditions that he's stuck in. And that could pose a problem in the military brass. So, I hope that doesn't happen. I'm not advocating that. I'm saying that you got to have good standards of living for your military to have an effective military, and that's not going on right now in the United States. Which leads me to another article I just pulled up. It by DPA International, I think, story by about 6 hours ago. Iran grants Iraqi tankers safe passage through the Strait of Hormuz. So the question I have is, the enemy of my enemy now going to be my friend? So are Iran and Iraq going to join efforts to thwart the U.S. presence in the Middle East? And that also means, is Saudi Arabia and the Mecca Pact, Turkey and that, going to side with Iran and Iraq to oppose what's going on in the Middle East? And if so, if the enemy of my enemy is my friend, is that going to make a big escalation? And should Israel be scared?
Subscribe to the channel, give us a like, and please share the video. Don't be afraid to share this commercial with your friends too.